Square the belt using the centerline method and mark a perpendicular line across the belt. Lay the splice face up on the belt to visualize the bias. To create the bias cut lines, measure a distance off one end of the squared line equal to 1/3 of the belt width. Ensure the orientation of the line is correct for the orientation of the splice. Draw the bias line. Once the belt is cut, determine the distance to skive on each end of the belt. Note that the measurement will be equal on both belt ends. Measure from the spacer to the edge of the splice, or use the table on the back of the instruction manual to determine the distance needed to skive. Using multiple points, create a line that represents the distance of the skive on one end of the belt. Then repeat this process for the opposite side. Skive off as much top cover rubber as possible without cutting into the plies of the belt. It is recommended to skive the bottom cover if it is greater than 1/8 of an inch. Once the skiving is complete, chamfer the top cover on the trailing side of the belt. Then chamfer or bevel the top and bottom edges of both ends of the belt. Centering the splice on the belt, slide the strip onto one end of the belt and ensure the belt is firm against all of the pre-inserted spacers. Check both ends of the splice to ensure there is an even amount of belt on each side before moving forward. Screw installation has a particular order to follow to achieve optimal performance. Using a heavy-duty drill and the PZ bit provided, install one screw in the fastener strip second from the belt edge in the row closest to the center stripe. Ensure the belt is still butted firmly against the spacers, then repeat screw installation on the opposite side of the splice. Install a screw in the center of the splice closest to the stripe. Install 10 to 20 screws alternating from side to side and row to row. Avoid installing the screws one after another along a single row, as this may cause the top and bottom of the splice to misalign. Remove all spacers from the splice and discard. Center and insert the other belt end into the splice so the two ends of the belt are in firm contact with each other. Ensure there are no gaps between the belt ends. Install 10 to 20 screws on this side of the splice using the same alternating screw pattern from the previous side. Alternate from side to side, row to row, installing all remaining screws in both sides of the splice. Sometimes it may be necessary to angle the drill slightly toward the center stripe to drive the screw into the insert in the bottom of the splice. Once all screws have been driven, check for any that have not been fully tightened or have missed the nut. Replace as necessary. Examine all screws to ensure they are all properly seated in the splice. Any screws that are not recessed fully will need to be tightened further. Look for the splice to show signs of slight pucker around each screw before moving on to the next section. When complete, check the bottom of the Super-Screw splice to ensure the screws have fully engaged the nuts. The screw tips on the bottom will have a recessed ring in the rubber when the nuts are properly engaged. Double-check the sides of the splice to ensure that the belt ends are still touching.